afternoon and welcome to Thirsty Thursday. Thank you so much for joining me here in the Stamps by Me studio. This is the first time done a show here this year in 2020, so it's great to be back. So my name's Claire, I'm from Thirsty Brush, the artist and designer, and I'm going to be showing you some really cool demos with our new collection, Reach for the Stars, just after this little video for you of what happened last time we were in the studio. Welcome back, hope you enjoyed that. So just before we start the demo, I wanted to say a massive thank you to everybody who watched the Create and Craft show on Tuesday. It was absolutely amazing to be back in the studio there, and I can't believe I get to be on your screens again twice in a week. You'll be absolutely sick of me. So what I really wanted to focus on today in the demos is, obviously we only have a certain amount of time on Create and Craft to do the demos for you, because we have to do a lot of talking about the products. So I really wanted to focus on maybe some of those items that you didn't get to see in as much detail, some of the embossing powders you didn't get to see the colours and things like that. So it's all about demos today. But I did want to say thank you for all your emails and everything as well. It was absolutely lovely to hear from you all. And then when I came out of the studio and I saw how many messages you'd all sent me on social media, it really made my day. And it was an absolutely great show. I really enjoyed it. So let's crack on with the demos. So the first one I'm going to use is do a little bit more stamping than you saw. So a very quick version of me doing some stamping on the show with these Reach for the Stars Starburst A5 stamp set. So let's do a little bit more of this, and I'm going to do it with the white embossing powder on some black card. So it's hopefully going to make a really cool impact, and you'll be able to see we're not even going to use it as a background. I'm going to then die cut into it, but that will become clear. So I think my favourite one out of this is this really big star set. I feel like I go for that and that one like loads, and then I embellish lots with the others. But for this particular demonstration, I'm going to use this one stamp over and over again to completely cover this piece of black card. So hopefully, even using the clear embossing ink, because this is on black, you'll be able to see where I'm stamping a lot better than if I was using white card on the camera. So as I mentioned on before, when we're using embossing, I tend to go over twice with the ink. The pad is really juicy, but because it's a little bit more difficult to see where you're stamping, and you've got your stamping tool, so why not use the facility to go over again and just double check that you've got enough embossing ink on there to catch that powder. So you'll see I'm just moving the same stamp around the piece of card. Oh, while I think actually, and I'm doing this, I mentioned right at the end of the show on Tuesday, it was a bit rushed because Martin reminded me when we were talking about that I'll be back in February on Create and Craft, and February made me think of our members gift. So if you buy stuff from Create and Craft normally and you're a club member, which normally gets you, you know, your 10% off or extra discounts during events or launch shows, you may have had one of their members gifts before. So what you have to do is log in to your members area of your account, and then each month different brands do take it in turns and do like a free product, and you just have to pay the postage. So I'm so pleased that we've been able to, it's really been quite a mammoth task as a tiny little company to get it all together for you, to be able to give away that many products, because obviously there's a lot of members, but I've got a full A5 stamp set for you in February through Create and Craft as a members gift. So that's worth a massive $16.99, and you'll just have to pay your postage on that. So keep an eye on our social media. Me and the design team girls will be showing you a bit closer to the time what that stamp looks like, some great samples, and we'll tell you all about how to get that lovely free stamp set. So if you followed me there, I've just gone all the way around with this stamp set, this individual stamp, sorry. And then because I've got a bit of a gap in the middle there where my magnet was, I'm going to cover that area. Just shift the magnet over, and it doesn't really matter if I kind of overlap a little bit in these stars, because it's just going to give such a cool effect of like random splatters of stars. Just might do a tiny bit more on there. Okay, so I think that's completely covered it. Let's take this off. And if I grab a piece of paper to catch my powder, I think we're just going to get a little bit closer for you so you can really see the white powder on this black with the stars. It looks so cool, and even when we start to heat it in a minute, you're going to get that real cool shine. Oh, I didn't use my anti-static bar, did I? I'm terrible at that with the camera on me. I think it's because I'm so busy concentrating on chatting and telling you all these things. So yeah, if you've got an anti-static bag at home, just rub that over. I mean, I haven't got too much excess on there, but it will just stop any excess powder going where you don't want it, or sticking to any fingerprints or anything like that. In fact, if I flick it in the back, probably most of that excess will come off. There we go. And in fact, because it's kind of like constellation-y, it's quite a cool effect anyway, so it doesn't really matter if you do get, don't be too precious about it. Just get rid of that powder. So again, like I mentioned, do keep your powders in the pot, because the anti-static within there stops it all sticking to the side of the pot and helps with your anti-static when you're stamping. So heat up a little. Even before it's heat set, it starts to look really cool, doesn't it? And we're just going to hold it over until that powder starts to change. I'll try and get it in the light for you as we go round so you can see the change. So the embossing powders are perfect for the stars, because you can do white, silver, gold, depending on what your colour theme is for your card. This is going to be quite a like monochromatic card for me. I did say I was trying to do more colour, didn't I? And I've got loads of colour in the second demonstration. But I really fancied something kind of to make the most of this black and white popping out. So do let me know, leave me some comments as well, let me know what you thought of the show if you saw it on Tuesday or of the demos today. I love to hear feedback from you. And I hope you've had a good day and keeping warm. It's another cold one, isn't it? Nearly there, just a few to heat set. There's quite a lot of stars stamping it this many times. Just make sure we've got it all, yep. So yeah, there is a little bit of excess there. But actually I think it quite adds to the effect. And you get that real nice shine on the white. So if we come back out a little bit, we're actually now going to not just use this for a background, but we're going to use one of the dies from the collection that you didn't get a chance to see me cut out on Tuesday. So I'm actually going to cut it into that full piece. So you should get lots of like little areas of all the stars coming in. It almost seems a shame to cut into all that stars, but it does give a really, really cool effect. So let me just hold that down. Run that through in the machine. And then to give it even more of a monochromatic and sparkly look, I'm going to layer it onto some glitter card, which I'll show you in a moment. So if I pop that out the way. See how easy they die cut, and just all the bits just pop out without even bothering with a pokey tool. Just get these boards out the way and I'll show you a little bit more detail. There we go. So you get a really cool kind of textured effect, but you can still see those lovely hearts. So, quite simply, so this is a really easy card once you get to this stage, because I'm going to layer it on some glitter, just with some double-sided tape. And then we're going to get out that giant set of special words dies, which I just can't stop using, I must admit. This is really a collection of stuff that I put together that I really just wanted in my stash. And I thought I'd really like to use loads of big word dies. I'd really like some cool cover dies that are nice designs and the right size and all that. So I hope you feel the same as I do. But they're just really easy to use. So glitter card, just on a 5x7. And then I'm going to raise this up slightly just to give it a little bit of dimension. So the edges here are just about the right size for your tiny little foam pads. Oh, just got one sneaky bit still in there. Little heart just won't let go. There we go. So you can pop them in the hearts really nicely, and then just at certain points around the edge. So this one really is that heartstrings look, isn't it? I'm going to try and send some Valentine's cards to, if I get time, to friends and stuff as well this year, because I think we all send them to our partners or loved ones. I've always sent Valentine's to my children, which is probably a bit sad, isn't it? I do say it's off me. I don't go from your secret admirer or anything. I think they would kill me being teenagers if I did that. But I do always say from Mom. But yeah, wouldn't it be nice to send a Valentine to just a friend and say, I love you too. Me and my BFF tell each other we love each other all the time. I think that's a real girl thing though, isn't it? So just whip these off. That one doesn't want to play. There we go. If you haven't got these little ones, just use what you've got and chop it down, or if you've got a roll you can just chop it, or even just glue it on with your wet glue. Wouldn't be a problem at all. I just thought I'd raise it up a little bit. You get to really peek through to that, the shine of the glitter card then as well. So that really is a simple kind of background for a card. Let's just add a sentiment, and you can really, that really shows off. Remember I said about that they're just the right size for your 5x7, so you really just get that tiny little border with no extra trimming. So for the sentiment, so if you haven't seen that set, or we didn't get to see it too much, did we, on the show? So you've got 3, 4, 5 maybe really big ones that are like between 4 and 6 inches long, and then some smaller ones, but every single one of them has got a mat. So I'm going to do the mat in vellum, and I'm going to do the kisses itself in this lovely kind of like white, almost holographic glitter. This is a really easy kind of no colouring card, isn't it? I know I show you lots of colouring techniques, but sometimes if you want a quick card or you're not feeling so confident right this minute on your colouring, you get a really cool effect with this without any kind of those arty skills. So we'll just lay that up onto itself with a bit of glue and then pop it on the card. And that's that one done literally from start to finish. I haven't prepped any of this beforehand, other than I think I just trimmed down that glitter card. So it really shows how quickly you can achieve that. Let's get rid of those. So, and I just love, I'm just in love with that font, look. It's so cool. So if you're using wet glue with these die cuts, try and have one that's got quite a fine tip. If you haven't, some people use like the pot glue or decant it out onto the mat and then use like little, those little sticks to pick up just little areas. Or I've even seen people put them on the hand and then you dip the die cuts in the hand, but I end up in a sticky mess if I do that. I've tried it, but it wasn't me. So you don't need it all over, just in kind of certain strategic places, and that should hold it. And of course anything that squeezes out, like I've done there, because this dries clear, it doesn't matter. So that's cool. And all of these Like I said, all of those sentiments have got that lovely matte. Really makes it a bit different. I'm not sure whether I want to cover up that or not. I'm thinking I'm going right in the middle. Sometimes when I've used this die, I've put my sentiment on there, but I kind of don't want to cover it up today. So I'm just going to let it stick to the strings. Did I put enough on the back of there? Maybe a bit more. I think 'cause it's got that embossing, it just wants an extra bit of grab. There we go, that feels better. And there we go. Could almost be a good Valentine for a guy as well as a friend. That's not too girly, not too pink, although some guys like the pink, don't they? So that's the first one. Like I say, really easy. Let's pop on to the second demonstration and do something completely different. So this one, I'm using the Posy 1 die, which is this one here. I think on this show on Tuesday I used the Posy 2 for something, so I just wanted to show you how this one cuts out and how it differs from the other one. So I'm going to cut it out from some holographic card, which is still my absolute obsession at the moment. Wow, look at that under the light. That kind of rainbow effect's really cool, isn't it? So again, you'll see how easy they go through the machine. Tony's well-loved plates. I was saying earlier how quickly we go through plates, using them all day, every day, as you can imagine. So this card I'm doing now was a bit inspired by one of the design team members' card that she sent me. So Leanne, you sent me a lovely watercolour card, and I was quizzing her. I couldn't quite figure out how she'd done it, and normally I can look at the girls' cards and think, oh yes, they've used this technique, and occasionally I have to go back to them and say, wow, that's amazing, I can't even figure out how you've done it. And this was one of those times. So it's hopefully a technique that you can try at home, and it's quite easy, but it does give a really effective look. So just pop out these. Again, they're just coming out really easily. I haven't got a pokey tool to hand here, but I really don't need one. Just pushing them with my fingers and they're just falling out. In fact, you could probably do that. So straight away, that's really effective on a card without even really doing anything to it. But we're going to create something really interesting behind it. So I'm going to use a piece of watercolour card to do this. And I'm going to lay on, I don't know whether to do it, I feel like it needs to almost be a little bit of an angle. Let's try that way. Yeah. So if you've got at home something like a stencil glue, like a low tack glue, would be really, really useful here, just to keep it in place for a couple of minutes. I'm just going to hold it down with my fingers, but we're going to draw around it. And don't worry if it does slip a bit, because we're going to do it really lightly, and then when we add some colour, it's going to pretty much disappear, that bit of pencil anyway. So if you do make a mistake, really don't worry. And again, it's pencil, so you can physically rub it out if you want. So really, really light, and I'm going to draw round. I'm not worrying about the detail in the middle here, so when I do this head of the flower, just very, very loosely. I'm not going in all here, just around the edge. All around the leaves, same, not worrying about the detail inside. I just want the outside shape very, very lightly. And the reason we're doing it lightly is so it doesn't show through when we add some watercolour. Whoops. So, and if it does move out the way, then it's really easy to just place back in. It hasn't got to be exact at all. We just want a rough guide. But you can be totally hands-free if you've got some kind of low-tack glue or low-tack sticky tape or something like that you could use. But you don't want to glue it down permanently because we need to move it out of the way to add the watercolour in a minute. Really, really loose and light. I will hold it up to the camera for you in a minute because you probably can't see much of my pencil right now, pencil lines, but I'll show you how it looks before I add the colour. Just roughly around these leaves. And down to the stem. So if I get that right in the light, yeah, you should be able to see where the pencil line is. And like I say, it's very, very rough, no detail in the middle at all. So that can go aside for a minute. We don't need the pencil anymore. What we do need is some kind of water-based pens. So as you know, I always use the Kuretake ones, but if you've got Tombow or I'm trying to think of other brands that do the water-based pens, but anything you like. These are just colours that I had in my bag after the show on Tuesday, but whatever you've got, you can make it work. And I'm applying some colour very, very loosely, following these pencil lines. I'm not doing detail, I'm just getting some colour down. So I'm not even making sure that it's completely exact compared to the pencil, or even that it's completely covered the area, just very, very loose. And what we're going to do is once we've added all the colour, we're going to add some water, which is going to make this colour move across the paper. And then we're going to add, don't want to go up there anymore with the green. And then we're going to add the die cut back on, and it's going to look like all the lovely watercolour is bursting out from underneath the die cut. So I think that's all the green bits. I might even add a bit of yellow in these little gaps here, just to give a bit of kind of variation in the green. If I had all my pens like I've got at home with me, what I'd probably do is get a couple of different shades of green in there, but maybe we could achieve that with a bit of yellow and blue mixed in. Maybe let's have a go. And let's use the pinks and the purples for the flower heads. So like I say, very loosely. I'm not doing fancy colouring in or shading here. It's just about getting some colour down, so when we add the water it can move. How about, let's have a blue flower head there as well. And I think there was a little bud there. Okay, so like you can see, very, very loose. So now if you grab a water spray and just a couple of light sprays, I'm leaving it for a second and then just letting it move for a minute and then seeing if I need more. Starting to go. Can you see it bleeding out? And if I see it move too much, I'm going to stop, but I think that's about enough. Yeah, let's dry it off because the colour will move a little bit as well with the heat. You'll start to see all the colours bleed into each other and get a really nice effect. If your card curls as it gets wet, don't panic, it'll settle back down as you dry it. This is watercolour cards, so it can hold quite a lot of water before pilling or anything like that. But use whatever you've got as long as it's not too smooth a card. See, now that's warped a little with the heat and the water, but if you just turn it over and go the other side as well, it'll start to flatten out. Okay, let's get something to layer it onto. So I've got a bit of kind of rose coloured metallic paint, metallic card here. And a bit of double-sided. And I've got a black top folding note card of Tony's. I think lots of us had these when she did them before, so. Lay that onto the card and do the same then with the background. And then we can add on that lovely holographic die cut on the top, and that's when it really comes together. Just a bit of that metallic poking out on the sides. There we go. And then if I bring back in the die cut and lay that over, you can see, I'll glue it down, but you can see already how different that looks. Obviously you could cut this, the posy one out of black would look good. The one Leanne did, I think she just done it in white on the watercolour card and it still looked really effective. I just thought I'd continue my holographic obsession. I bought so much of it, I think I'll be using it for years to come, but I do love it. So just some wet glue again at strategic places, just to get the die cut to stick down. It's such a nice die cut to use just as it is. You can colour it in with your, if you've got your Gossip pens or your watercolour pens directly onto it, chop into it like I did with the other one on TV the other day. I bet when you saw all that colour on, you wondered where I was going with this, and it looked a bit messy, but then once you add the die cut on top and you can see the bleed of those colours, I think that's really effective. So to finish off, we're going back to the special words, and I'm going to use two. I wanted to use the Super, which is a slightly smaller one. Where have I put? I think I had the Fun out somewhere as well. And for a real contrast against the holographic and metallic that's in there, I'm going to do the sentiments in craft card, because I always have loads of this lying around as well, and I like to think of different ways of using it. Get those bits off the board. So I've got Super Fun, and I'm only going to do the matte in a vellum because I love it, but I'm only doing a matte for the Super this time, but you do whatever you fancy. You may have seen as well I was using the special words die cuts and kind of layering them up. So I'll give you it's quite rushed, that bit at the end, so I'll cut out a couple of the Fun and show you again how to pop them together, because a few people were asking, especially after I posted that card with the rainbow layers. So it'll be the same technique, just to lay them up. The key there is to just cut them all out of different colours first, so it takes a bit of time prep wise, so make sure I've got all the colours I need. I think I went pretty much the same as what I've got here in pens, so I think I cut 5 or 6 layers out the same word, and then made sure I arranged them in a way, so if I had my die cuts, so I got purple to pink to yellow to green to blue, and then I topped it up with a black one and added some embossing powder, the clear embossing powder as well on top, to give it a real cool gloss. Right then, I'll just layer up 2 for now, just to, the technique is the same, doesn't matter how many you add on. Lovely. So let's layer those up first. So yeah, you've got 2 there, just turn them over as if you were going to do it on the mat, but you're just going to stick it straight on, directly onto another one. So again, just some wet glue. All over the die cut. And what I tend to do is hold it in my hand to layer on, and then work from left to right or right to left, depending on whether you're left or right handed, and just kind of move it into position so it fits perfectly. Unless your glue's super quick drying, you know, most of these you should be able to move and get them on top of each other nicely before your glue dries. And then, because I'm not adding this to the mat this time, I'm going to go straight onto the card, just add some more glue. But obviously if you have more layers, just keep going until it's as thick as you want. In fact, on this craft card it kind of looks like a chipboard kind of effect. So that's the Fun, and I think we'll add the Super maybe up there. I told you it would get more colourful, didn't I, after the monochrome. Black, white and silver. The smaller ones are a little bit more delicate, but it's exactly the same technique. Just don't have a panic if you see your glue squidge out from underneath, because it will dry clear for you, even on things like the vellum like this. So even if you haven't got these products, but you've got other die cuts or things in your, or the stamps in your stash, maybe you can try these techniques. I'd love to see what you do. There we go. That was super fun, wasn't it? That gives a really, really different look. So let's grab them both together. So both 5x7 cards, both using die cuts, but a bit of stamping techniques in there as well, with the stars and the heat embossing, and then something completely different with the watercolour behind the holographic there for the posy one. So I really, really hope that's given you some ideas to try either with these products or whatever you've got to hand. And I will be back with you here in the Stamps by Me studio again, 3 p.m. next Thursday and every Thursday, and be back with you on Create and Craft as well in Feb. So take care, have a great weekend and see you next week.